Why do we celebrate birthdays? Life as we know is defined by two moments, moment of birth and moment of death. These moments are totally unknown to us. If our parents, our friends, our relatives don't tell us that you were born on such and such day, you would have never known. You won't have cared. And the death is something we just presume. Since everybody else is dying, I will die too. Death is in the future. We imagine death. And we imagine birth also. That if everybody says, that must be the case. So, the life that we put so much importance to is defined by two moments which are totally imaginative without having an actual experience of it. The reason why we don't have actual experience is because we have never wanted to live in the present moment to experience it thoroughly. When we celebrate birthdays, we are celebrating this so-called life between birth and death. And yet, if we ask people, are you happy? 90% of the people said they're not. There is suffering, there are problems, negativities, all that, and yet we celebrate birthdays, which marked the beginning of the life as we know. And since everybody does that, we do it too. It's a collective understanding within the human race to celebrate birthdays. Or I would rather say collective misunderstanding. Because telling each other that you were born and then based on that such an important event gets unnoticed doesn't suit us well. Since we celebrate birth, we automatically hate death. Mind is dualistic. Mind has to have two things. If it chooses to celebrate the birth, it will automatically draw its negative energy towards the death. So again, we are living in dichotomy with two opposites. We live in the opposites, likes and dislikes, sukh and dukh, better, worse, tall, short, black, white. This dichotomy of life, the duality of life, is what's not allowing you to live the present. If we can visualize both the things side by side, birth and death at the same time, there is a chance we can be out of this dualistic tendency of our mind. then we can celebrate birth and we can celebrate death also. When we can celebrate birth and death simultaneously, when we can celebrate sukh and dukh simultaneously, if we can accept suffering as a normal event and happiness is also a normal event, and put them side by side, then we are seeing the vastness of real life that is responsible in creating you, me, and everything else in the world. The events unfolding in front of us, instead of labeling them good, bad, better, worse, if we can relieve our mind of labeling those things, then we have started getting the taste of the big life. The big life, the life of consciousness, awareness, that is responsible for creation of these events of ups and downs, tops and the bottoms, birth and the death, better or worse. If birth is an energy which creates a human being or animal or a flower or a tree, death is also an energy that makes it happen only to create something else. Then we have started checking our own pulse. The consciousness within ourselves is pulsatile. With every birth, there is a creation, but the footprint of the next creation is already happening without our knowing. And the life that we are living by, we are holding on to that footprint only to carry out further, to create more lives. Life at the level of consciousness allows us to look at the life in its totality without dividing birth and death, birthdays and funerals. And in that state, you can do a full justice. You can witness every event without labels. With the Sthita Prajna state, you can observe the whole life that is unfolding in front of you. Drama of life and death is happening in front of us. No matter how much we avoid, death comes. Death is just as much of a reality as the birth. Between the birth and the death, I would say birth is not as important as the death. The only reason is the realization of death, imagination of a death can wake you up to realize that all these things can end at some point. With this realization, you may set out on a journey to find imperishable, undestroyable, Amar Ajar Tattva, which is the real life. So death is our friend, not in the sense that when the people are suffering of this life and they say, I wish to death will come. Not from that point of view, but in a pleasant way, when you are totally healthy and you have a capacity to change your life the way you want. Your life urja is at its peak. Death is your friend because it teaches you the flimsiness of this life. It teaches you transientness of everything. Not just happiness, but unhappiness also. Not just dukh, but sukh also. Everything is transient. And in this changing world, birth and death are just commas. Sentences keep on going. The big life keeps on writing the history. The big life where there is no death, but only the realization of the transientness of this life. Once the realization of the transientness of this life should create uneasiness in your soul. That uneasiness is what you see in Arjun, Vishad Yoga, which gave rise to Gita. Until that Vishad happens in your life, Gita cannot happen in your life. So celebrating birthdays is a common social event, but merging with universal consciousness allows you to enjoy every single moment, because that moment never comes again. That particular moment is unique and will never happen again. And that's the beauty of the universal consciousness. Every moment can be a celebration of life. Every moment can give you joy of life. Every moment can make you realize that you are here to enjoy this beautiful world with everyone else as your friends. We used to have holidays before. Adivasi peoples used to do celebrations synchronized with the nature. Holi celebrated the arrival of spring colors. A lot of dances of Adivasi people celebrated the natural events of life. We were synchronized with nature before. We woke up when the sun rose. We went to sleep when the sun went down. Now our birthdays are celebrated in olive gardens and CPKs. But where is the celebration for the life that gave you the birth and will give you the death? Where is the celebration for that? That celebration is in every moment. Every moment is your new birth, and every moment is your old death. Death of an older moment, birth of a new moment. It's a continuous process in this vast consciousness. So enjoy the moment, be in the present, stay above and away from duality. Have a good day.